Hi, everybody. Thank you. And I'm so excited to bring you Positive Traction with Coach Henry. And today's guest, I love calling her Chef. She has more proper names and so much behind her. And I am excited to just talk so many things out with you. But without further ado, thank you for being on the Positive Traction with Coach Henry show. And who are you?
I'm delighted to be here. So my name's Mareya Ibrahim Jones, newly remarried, 4 years.
Congratulations.
So I go by Chef Mareya the Fit Foodie. I've been Chef Mareya the Fit Foodie for about 15 years now. And I have a background in cooking. I'm a trained chef, holistic nutritionist, and recently just got my brain health coaching certification. So I really am all about how does our lifestyle impact how we show up in the world? And what can we do to improve every day and walk in our purpose through all those habits? And it's amazing what you can do with food. It really is.
Listen, 100%. You know, the old saying that you've heard a million times, you are what you eat, right? Fuel wise. On that, before we get too much in, because there's a lot that you bring to the table. So I want to kind of be concise, but a couple things that really, really stick out is a little bit about where you are, because those are just listening, can't see that you're in phenomenal shape. I know you don't ask women their age, but it is relevant because it just gives so much, honestly, credibility to how well you look in general. Add the age and add what you're doing. And right now you're getting ready for something. So can you just tell us a little bit about you personally in that? Because it does add to your quest.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. That's really nice of you to say, Coach. I'm really never shy about sharing my age. I'm 55. And I have really seen how a lifestyle of fitness and food and mindset can change a person. 20 years ago, I was a very depressed and very, you can say, kind of feeling very dejected in a really toxic marriage. And I was married to an alcoholic. You find that when you're in a relationship with somebody that doesn't bring out the best in you or kind of doesn't help you find your best self, that you create this resentment, not only to the person, but to yourself too. Right. And so I was very much on that track, but fast forward, I'm walking in such a better mental condition that has come from this better lifestyle. And now I'm getting ready for my second bikini fitness competition, which I hate the word bikini, but it's all about getting in the best muscular shape that you can so that you can be on a stage and actually show up like there's nowhere to hide. And I'm doing this for a lot of reasons, but I think that's where just peeling back the onion on your own journey and what wellness looks like for you. It's very individual. That might not be for everybody, but I'm fascinated with the human form and what we're capable of doing.
Well, thank you. That's a beautiful intro, because I wanted to give a little premise to who you are. I think it's important because, look, most people, we live in a society where they look at a car, a house, a person, a body, and everyone, unfortunately, is programmed to just assume that's how you were. That's how it came. Your body, your lifestyle, how you grew into it, or any of that. And it's not about proving people, it's about to inspiring. This show is about inspiring people. And like I always say, Chef, it's not about motivation. To me, motivation is surfaced, right? You hear a song you start dancing, and then you're done 2 or 3 minutes later. But when you're inspired, I say you dance forever, right?
I love that.
So for me, what I take, and I want to go back to what you said. So 20 years ago, you were 35 years old in a toxic marriage. And I love what you said, because this is important. I want to start here. You said not only do you grow resentment towards, in this case, him, you grew resentment towards yourself. And I want to believe it's because you probably started seeing that you deserve better, and why are you allowing yourself to be here? Is that, am I right? Is that?
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it. I think it's a victim mentality too of, why did I do this? How could I have made this mistake? Gosh, it must be me. It must be that I don't deserve better. It must be that this is my fate.
Right.
And I think a lot of people get stuck in this victim mindset of, it's my fault when it's not, I mean, you can't choose the decisions that a person in your life makes, but what you can do is decide that you deserve and you were created to walk in greatness.
So the beautiful thing about what you're sharing that we could talk now is that a lot of that helped bring out the best in you through adversities.
Yeah.
That gave you, because one of the things when I first met you, you kept saying is, I want to help shape people's lives. Yes, fitness-wise, but really metaphorically in the sense of all aspects of life.
Yeah.
Right? Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, but see, that's the beauty of when people like yourself are in a bad situation, the epiphany hits, you start moving to get out of that situation, and you fast forward 20 years later. So one of the questions I want to ask you is, when you started on this journey, what did the why look for you then? So let's just say it started 20 years ago, 35 years old, bad marriage. You were not in the best shape, or were you already in shape then?
No, I struggled with an eating disorder for a very long time. And I do think it's a byproduct of kind of the situation. When you can't control what's happening around you, you can only control what you can control.
Right.
So I started abusing food. I vacillated from being anorexic to bulimic. And I know those are really emotionally charged words, but I want to call a spade a spade. It is what it is. And so I would exercise excessively. I was very frail, very, just unhealthy. I could go a full day without eating anything but like a cup of rice and some vegetables. And, it was this abuse of myself and the food that I thought would bring me some sort of like order.
So it sounds like almost a rebellion against yourself that triggered by your own resentment for the situation, right?
Yeah. And people with eating disorders are oftentimes, that is often the byproduct of some sort of trauma in their life.
Yeah.
And, for me, I really struggled with my own like self-image and self-esteem, because again, like when you're in a place where you don't feel good, you just sort of assume it's you instead of, the situation. And the craziest part, and really why I'm on this journey, is because when you deprive yourself of nutrients and you don't take care of yourself, you're literally starving your brain and your judgment.
Right.
Your ability to make good decisions becomes bankrupt because you have nothing 100%. To fuel that.
Listen, Chef, 100%. But I like going kind of like the Back to the Future movie and today, right? Because I feel like as I'm getting to know you now in one of the best stages of your life, a good marriage, a good family, you look great. So I have to listen to hear what brought you here. And this is why I love what I feel I'm blessed to bring this platform, because I want, when people see you on stage here soon, and you did this because you wanted to. You didn't need to because of the psychological effects of the past that made you, you are wanting to show at 55, you chose to. And I even saw one of your clips where you're showing some great prep food, and was that your son or your husband's son?
My son.
Your son in there. And see, to me, I love that, because more of today, I think the credibility that you bring is that you're just not, it's not bad that you're a young lady doing all that, which is great if they choose that. Awesome. But I think what brings to the table, and it's refreshing, is that you've lived a colorful life. You've lived a lot of different things, right? And now for you to say, hey, I want to use all my hurt, all the things I've been through, and not be a victim. I want to bless others. And if they can save a little bit of time. So what I feel that's what's happening is, from your cookbook, which we'll talk about in a minute, products that you've helped design and launch to bring you to these moments. I think that's awesome. And I think, if I may, the name you're going to be kind of branding is Real Dish. Right? And I love that, because the name Real is what you are. You are real. And I love that.
Yeah, it's so good. We live in a life, a place right now where it's all about like this facade, how do you put your best look and your, the highlight reel out there on social media. And I I really believe you're right. It's from the challenge that we make change. I mean,
Yeah.
God doesn't give us a challenge without giving us a vehicle for change.
It's there. It's there.
And to empower others too. And I'll tell you I go back to my why. You asked me that. My why was my kids and still is, with my husband added in there. They got to grow up with a solo mom because they didn't have a relationship with their dad, and they still don't.
Right.
A solo mom that had to carry both roles for them. And I had to be strong for them.
Right.
My daughter was 4.5, my son was 1. So, it was incumbent on me to, when the divorce happened, for me to literally just like pull up my big girl pants and say, okay, we got to get it done. I've got to figure out a way to feed them. I've got to figure out a way to show up to their sporting events, their plays, their concerts. And I believe the role of being a parent is the most important role, if you have kids, that you have in your life.
And I agree, because on that, Chef, one of the things I love sharing is I'm a big person of starting from within out. I always say you need to work on loving yourself, and no matter where you are and what season, right? Maybe you're not in the best shape or your career's not great, but if you start with not the self-love, I'm talking real love.
Yeah.
You love yourself and you go, you know what? I'm good today. Let me, I'm healthy to where I am, but I want to be better. Then it goes into your spouse if you have one. And if you don't have one, it goes right to the kids, etc. But I think that's important because that's an important why. That drove you every time you wanted to quit, every time you wanted to, give up or settle. You're like, no, they're going to look up the ladder. And kids, we as parents are the first thing they're going to look up towards. And what happens, especially in today's day, a lot of kids, even in homes that are together or technically not broken, are broken. Because I remember this quote a friend of mine said one time, and he came from this. He goes, Henry, the only thing worse than coming from a broken home, he goes, is living in one. Oh, man. And I remember that because so many people that I know, even today, sadly, are just so unhappy, but they don't have the courage to just do what is hard initially, but to bless, because ultimately then all of a sudden you show your kids it's okay to settle for all the wrong reasons.
Totally.
It's okay to be the victim. Well, just, bad day at work. No.
Yeah.
And I love that. So let's fast forward for a moment to some of the great things you have going on now, because I want to bring our audience a little bit back and now forward. So name a couple of the great accomplishments that you've accomplished in the last couple of years, because that alone is through the challenges that happened that gave you the strength to go out and make some great things happen for yourself.
I would love to share that, but before I do, I would be really remiss if I didn't just share like the relationship that I have with God and how it's transformed me.
Yeah.
Because the biggest change that you see, or people that know me will see, is that my walk is what has brought me light. And there's really like an incredible amount. It's almost like if you could picture wearing like 10 layers of clothing, okay? Or an onion. Let's use the chef analogy, and I know people have heard this before, but really think about this. When you shed shame, you shed anxiety, you shed fear, you shed people pleasing, you shed, all those things that hold us down, and you just say, I'm going to give it to God and just let him guide me. That is what really created the metamorphosis. And but by no accident, butterflies are like my soul animal. But I can look back and I can literally see pictures of me, and I don't look like the same person. And so, with that transformation, and it's a thing that kind of like just evolves over time. I can say that every step that I've been able to take has been a gift.
Yeah.
So like the first step was quitting my day job, quitting my corporate, 6-figure salary stock option job to go start my business and create Eat Cleaner. And everybody in my life was like, are you It's
Right,
like
right.
you're a solo mom, like you're not getting child support. Like, what are you doing? And I was just like, God, I just feel called to do this. And my dad, he had cancer. He had pretty radical surgery. They actually had to remove his bladder. And what stuck with me was what the doctor said. The doctor said he should avoid all raw food, including raw fruits and vegetables. And I was like, what's he going to eat? Like, where is he going to get his enzymes from? Where is he going to get his micronutrients from? Like, you're saying, once you cook food, you cook a lot of the enzymes out of them, and the good probiotics and the nutrients that you need. So with his science background and my background in nutrition, I just knew we had to do something. So that was really like what gave birth to Eat Cleaner. And Eat Cleaner has gone on to be, really a global product. Hundreds of thousands of people have used it. I recently sold the company to mentor Joy Mangano and her partner Pitbull. That's a whole story in and of itself. But, I think what happens is when you believe in something and when you really ask for confirmation, God shows you the way. Even when it seems like impossible or, I didn't have like a ton of money to start it up or anything. I made a lot of silly mistakes, but the point is it was enough fuel for the fire.
Right.
And you just, sometimes in life, you've got to just gamble. You got to roll the dice.
Well, that's one of my favorite subjects. But
Yeah.
on that, look, going back to what you said, look, faith is everything to me. It always has been since the age of 12. And I live in the 3P world. I have a plan. I said this in front of you and your husband. I have a plan. I pray about it and I proceed. When things are clear, the road starts opening up. And when things are not, then I usually I might call on wisdom with second or third opinions or people that could see something I can't. But with that being said, all that road in hindsight now, that's why I believe that God says, not to live in regret and not to reminisce in the bad way, because all those events, as horrific as some of those were, led to where you are today. It made you who you are today because of that faith, taking true stories, because I believe that now more than ever, Chef, now more than ever, we need to say less. Yes, we're talking right now, but you're out there doing it. You're doing the show. You're eating clean. You're making an impact as I'm doing what I can. And I say that because it's actions. And that's why one of my favorite prayers in James 2:17 is faith without action is dead.
Yeah, it's just like the clanging of a chime, Right. But what doing that, stepping out in faith and creating Eat Cleaner led to just this, flurry of blessing. And that's really the exciting part. And, I think being a chef, everybody is a chef. I think everybody can be the chef of their own life. What you learn in cooking school is how to be organized and how to take charge.
Okay.
A chef has to lead. You can't be indecisive. You've got orders flying at you. You've got a lot of things to juggle. You have to have the forethought to think about plan A, B, and C.
Yeah.
And you have to lead a group of people who are all, it's like an orchestra,
Yeah.
You've got to lead a group of people that are all doing their job. And if you have indecision, if you are not prepared, it's going to be a disaster. So I think that's where I believe, that at least that training equipped me with a level of understanding of what it takes to, have a plan and execute it.
Yeah. I love that.
And so after I started Eat Cleaner, I really started just looking at the brand differently because I had a long history of being in the natural foods world. I've had, prior to that, I had, almost 20 years of experience, 15 years of experience in the world of food. And when I started Eat Cleaner, what I really wanted to do was show people how to use it in their everyday lives because it's not just a product, it's a solution. It helps your produce last longer so that you can meal prep and have your food prepped and ready to go. It makes your fruit and vegetables taste better. It removes the toxins that build up in your body, which from a health perspective is really something that we all need to be very aware of, because water's not a cleaner. And so, using it in application, showing people how to make simple recipes, I started a daily Facebook Live called The Real Dish. And that's where The Real Dish happened. Like in my kitchen with my young kids, cooking, and all kinds of crazy antics happen. Nothing was planned. It's live, nothing scripted. Like sometimes this burner wouldn't start, or, sometimes the tripod would tip out, like whatever, disaster. But that's real life. And that's what people see, I think, when they watch me, is it's real.
So I want to interject then, because I agree with you. So one of the things I love to do in this format is take applicable, let's say, 3 things that were going through your mind that I'll ask specifically right now that you can share with people listening of all ages on this show. So, for example, when you Eat Cleaner became something real, and at that moment, try to go back mentally when you were pitching this to Joy or whoever you were speaking about, as a woman entrepreneur. How did that feel? Because I want you to take them back, because part of the story is, remember, back and forth, so that everyone can go, okay, this is a mom showing real craziness, kids all over, things happening.
Yeah.
But in spite of that and through that, you took a product that you believed in and believe in, and you pitched it, obviously, and it took life.
Yeah.
So take us to that.
Yeah, I'll take you back to the first time that I actually pitched it. So I was invited to participate in Inc. magazine, had a new entrepreneur contest. So they called it the Newpreneur. And I applied and was selected. And I went on to the finals. I didn't win, but I was a finalist.
That's awesome.
But I remember standing in front of that audience. And it was probably like 400 people. And I remember just looking at them and saying, imagine you wake up one day and the person that is closest to you has been diagnosed with cancer. Mm-hmm. So it was very personal to me, and it still is. It's my baby. I call it my third baby, because when you give birth to a brand, you're not just taking a product and putting your name on it. We created a whole formula. We went through testing. We went through lab, third-party lab validation. We, so many different steps. We patented it, to get to the point of actually putting it in a package. But that was like such a pivotal moment, because it reinforced to me that this is a solution for people, because everybody has a need. Yep. Everybody has a health need, whether you are one of the over 60% of people who are considered at risk, and that includes the elderly, pregnant women, children, people with autoimmune or some sort of immune disease. There is a big part of the population that has to really, really be careful. Yeah. And I was relating it as a person and an inventor to everybody, really, because we all touch somebody like that. And I went on from there to then when I won first place in a contest called the World's Best Technologies. Gold prize is what I won. And I went up against like a lot of big, very impressive technologies.
So can I ask you, so in the amount of years, so let's use 35 really bad time of your life. Yeah. Give me a reference of time.
Time window?
Yeah.
So we're talking, at this point, I was in my early 40s.
Okay, so let's just say 7 years later?
Yeah,
give or take?
Roughly 5 to 7 years later. Okay. Yeah, I, left my career job when I was in my late 30s, started Eat Cleaner, started proving it, doing all the background work, and then launched it in my early 40s.
So again, I want to again be specific, because I want people to really see, the mindset that you had to, your faith that you had to apply, because now you went from, now you're a single mom, you have a job, you're leaving a job. You heard a lot of people let's assume they really wanted the best for you and you're about to jump ship.
Yeah.
Now you're pitching something that you truly believe it's your third baby.
Yeah.
So now you won this. So take us now just for where it became something like more. Like it's almost, yes, you were doing something, but of course it's always nice to have a little worldly validation.
Yeah, well, that World's Best Technologies Gold Prize really opened up some doors. Like I had some major companies coming after us to see what we were doing, like big names. I'm not going to name them specifically, but the biggest chemical companies in the world you can imagine.
Wow.
Came knocking on our doors trying to figure out what was this that we had.
That's awesome.
And so I knew we had something. And then the next big thing was pitching QVC. I had an opportunity to fly to Pennsylvania and actually go to QVC headquarters and pitch them. And they loved it. And they brought it on. And that was like, okay, number one was the ink contest. Number two was this World's Best Technology. Number three was like QVC.
Wow.
And that's where I knew like, okay, we've got something.
Yeah.
But the coolest part about all of this that I really still feel very passionate about is you have to believe so strongly in whatever it is that you have to sell that you make people go, wow, okay, tell me more. If you're not fully invested and not fully on board and passionate as like the most passionate person about it, people won't receive you. I mean, if you are passionate about a piece of paper that you want to give to somebody and you show up and like let them know, it's amazing what you can do. And that's really, I went in all guns blazing because my life and my kids' life really depended on it.
Absolutely. You had a lot of actual variables that were very important.
Yeah.
But see, I think that's like if the show ended this second, the three things I would want people to get from you is your unscripted passion to finish what you started. You also apply it. Two is the mindset of believing yourself from a victim mentality that you recognize that you might have been for a moment in life to a victorious mindset that led to you 7 years before that, you were in a horrible position. All of a sudden now you're pitching 1 victory, 2 victories, 3, and all the things in between all that, of course, which is kind of, and then the last thing on that, I think is also a belief in oneself, which is what I shared with you. You believe in your ability and you also have a passion that's all brought together is all the roads that you have traveled are starting to find one kind of your best work coming together.
Yeah. And here's the thing though. Okay. So what happens when you start seeing some success is you also get really in your head about it and you start to go, okay, what's next? What's next? After QVC, I got on a show called Recipe Rehab. I was on for 3 seasons, Emmy-nominated show. Great. So I'm on national television, people watching me saying like, this is awesome. And then I get a book deal. And then, I become a chef for the Daniel Plan program with some of the biggest names in health and wellness. So things start to move forward, but here's what happens. And I know people out there listening that have experienced some success will relate to this. You start to get imposter syndrome and you start questioning yourself and going, oh, well, okay, now I'm scared. Now what do I do next? Now I have to keep striving. Now. And I think this is the real trick with entrepreneurs and people who are just trying to do good in the world is you have to stay your course and know you're doing it not just for yourself. Okay.
Yes.
It has to have an attachment that is bigger than you because 100%. The people that get tripped up on, and I am one of them, and I'm being so honest right now with you. You must be bringing it out of me, but I want to be so honest in that it's not just about the successes. It's how you grow as a person through them.
Yep.
And what you find to be your real true north through that.
Yes.
And if you can stay fixed on the real true north, it can get you through everything. And then you know what your purpose is and you know what you're striving for.
100%. Look, in my second book that I wrote, I had a whole chapter, and the title of it was Ignore the Noise, right? Because not all noise is bad, and not all noise is good. But like you said, when you find your path, you find your north, you're able to start recognizing it faster. There's imposter syndrome is real. I've been an entrepreneur the majority of my entire life, and I've had the stories and the highs and the lows. But once you find, to your point, a good road that's starting to really come into your own, then you start questioning less and you start stepping more. And then I believe through our faith in God, things start aligning better. And then you can recognize what things do you have to push a little harder through and what things are meant to be obstacles that you need to be rerouted. And instead of being in doubt land and what if land, none of that is good. It's better to be able to go, oh, okay, that doesn't seem right. Let me kind of be, which leads to my second why. You explained the first why, and yes, it is the kids and your husband. But you said something right now that has been my mission, and that is it's not about Henry Castro or Coach. It's about what is being done through me. Right? And you said your variation. So let's bring that now. So what do you feel in this present time, not tomorrow, just right now? If this was our last conversation, you and I, what would you want me to take and people listening? What is your why right now?
Oh, this is a big one. This one's been simmering for a while.
And again, real quick guest, no one knows what I'm going to ask. So this is organic. In your words, this is organic, chef.
So many kitchen chefy terms. No, this one's been simmering, because I think we go through certain seasons where we're not supposed to act. We're supposed to just let it simmer. And let the flavors develop.
Making me hungry, chef.
It's that boeuf bourguignon. You put it on low and you cook it for 4 hours, So I think what's been simmering in me is this real desire to give back and to grow a movement. A community of people who care so deeply, not only about their health, because health is just like intrinsic to what I do, but really about going back to what you were saying about the shape. Because when you walk in your shape, and that's your soul shape, your heart shape, your action shape, your psychological shape, and your emotional shape, because that's what makes you a full rounded person, then you really can walk in your greatness. And I had to get the soul part right. I had to heal the heart part, so that I could bring out my abilities and my actions.
Well,
and
you said something, sorry, chef, because in one of your list of things you listed, you said people pleasing. And you're right. See, because I always say if you people please, you end up nowhere. But if you people bless, that changes things because you're blessing people you come upon as opposed to making sure there's a genuality of what you're saying. And it's a word, it's a Coach Henry word.
Everyone genuality. Says, I like it.
And they're like, everyone's like, it is a word on the Coach Henry show.
It is.
And so
look it up.
And I love that because the minute I ask you that question, the simmering, the look in the eye, those that can see the actual YouTube channel, but those that can hear it, you lit up because see, you're right. You've been in a forced to simmer. And nobody always likes to simmer, but it makes some of the best meals in the world, right? Simmering.
100%. And, we're such a go, 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 get it done. What's next? And resetting is just as important as moving forward. Let's talk about training, okay? We need rest days. You need rest days for your muscle tissue to recoup. You need to eat differently on certain days. You need to vary up your workouts in order to get to your desired result. You can't just show up doing the same thing over and over and over again. So what I'm doing in this simmering season is developing a team around me, bringing like-minded people that we can grow something together. And that's really the secret sauce. Okay. Because you can't create change only as one person. There is no one out there that's successful that will tell you they're doing it on their own. And if they are, I would really question that.
Yeah.
They've got people behind them.
Yeah.
And with them and around them, you know, and that to me is the biggest game changers. I want to build this community where we can do good things, where we can give back to the community, where we can educate, where we can be real and let's cut through the bull.
Yeah.
You know, like I like to say on the podcast.
Yeah.
And let's cut through the bull and really heal, because, you know, we need an army of healthy people out there for the kingdom. Like, can't be no wimpy, like, you know, droopy armed people. We need to be strong, and we can lift up people around us when we come together.
Jeff, beautifully said. And it has to be. That's how the community was meant to be. I can't be strong every day, nor can you, but I might be strong on a day that you need that, and vice versa. That is community. And using your beautiful analogies of food, I mean, let's just take one of my favorite meals, which is good steak. A steak by itself, yes, it's amazing. But when you have the right sides, when the right garnishes, right?
Oh yeah, give me that broccoli. Give me that sweet potato, you know? That's when you've got a meal.
Yes.
And you know, here's the thing. I love food as an anchor because it's something we all must do.
Right.
Okay? We must do it to survive. There's only, you know, a handful of things that we need to do to survive in life. And when you get the food part right, not just from a nutrition point of view, but like you bring your family into the kitchen with you. This is why my kids have grown up in the kitchen. You know, you eat a meal at the table together and you connect with others. You use food as a vehicle for community and communion with each other. You can bridge gaps. You can create a level playing field. My grandfather used to tell me, food is the great equalizer.
Yeah.
Everybody that comes to the table is equal here, you know?
I love that. You should definitely put that in one of your future things.
Yeah.
But Grandpa had it right. And I want to say something, you know, that I've gotten from you so far today. Just I want you to hear this from me, is what is instilling is the word stillness has a negative connotation to many people, right? People feel like they're not doing something. But being still, why did God say seventh day or pick a day, rest? Because he knew that we needed to shut down and regroup. But what I got from you, many things I've gotten so far, but one thing is the way you look at food. See, you looked at food the very way that unfortunately many of us have. It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
You've been able through your journey now look at food as a vehicle of good energy and strength and happiness and joy.
Yes.
Because why this triggered to me is the way you said it. I brought my family into the kitchen with me. And the second part of that, what we miss the most in our culture today is quiet time around the table as a family.
Yeah.
To just, how was your day? Everyone, I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty. Go, pick it up on the way. But even if it's once a week.
Yeah.
And be able to say, hey, let's sit down, phones away, and let's just talk about our day. I mean, that to me is what resonated beautifully. And when you said, bring my family in, which to me, I translate, bring your family on this journey. Instead of like, well, how was your day? They almost know because they're a part of your life.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm Middle Eastern, okay? We wake up thinking about food. We plan for the next meal. We talk about food at that meal.
I was going to say, you're talking food while you're eating.
We are food people, okay? But I will say you will be very less likely to find somebody eating alone in the Middle East than you would them eating with someone else. There is this thing that's been ingrained in me since I was a child, that food is what brings you together. It's where my best memories are. My grandmother and my aunts in the kitchen, all huddled like in this tiny kitchen, you know, doing 5,000 things, you know, and just observing them and then getting integrated into it. Like my best memories, laughter, funny stories, jokes, like kidding around with, like, those are the best memories. Kitchens. And so if we take that instead of food being the enemy, or food being the coping mechanism, like you said, or food being this thing that I battle and I'm good or bad depending on how I've eaten that day. We got to just take that lexicon out of our vocabulary and really look at it for what it is. And that is to build an incredible walking miracle that is you.
Yeah.
We are a walking miracle every day.
Yeah.
We have 11 different, systems working together that are all helping us propel through this crazy blue marble that we revolve on. And so the more we take care of like what's going into our body, the better the output. Bad gas in the car, bad fuel, bad production out. Like we are a Ferrari, I would like to say.
I want to say thank you on that note, truly, because I love your passion. I love how you're doing it, because since I've met you, which hasn't been that long, but every conversation we've had and everything you've shared, none of it is ever taken like you're shaming someone, judging someone, or they're less than. And I say that because there's a lot of people that are in great shape. This is the way you do it. This is, again, a lot of, who likes to be told what to do? No one.
No one.
I always like to say in my life as a coach, and you've heard this from me as well, is I want people around me that want to be around me. Not that I need or feel they have to be around me. And I say that back to you because your message, your road, your vehicle, as it's taking shape, no pun intended, it is beautifully designed. And I believe that it's about to hit the world, like your passion, because you want to build a community. But I also feel like what I've received from you, this small segment, is that the kitchen is really the beginning of fueling that Ferrari. And instead of looking at the kitchen as coping or emotional stress, how about the place where us as our scientific project is taking the best shape and look at food a little differently?
Yeah. I mean, look, I wrote a book called Eat Like You Give a Fork. Okay.
Yes, which we're going to show that here in a moment.
But the reason for the title is that we think about this gift that we get in this very utilitarian way, right? It's just eat calories, it looks good, and then move on with my day. But if you start to think about the intention behind food, what it's doing for you, how it was grown, how it was cultivated, how it was raised, and you honor that, because there is vibrant energy in whatever you eat, in whatever you consume, So and I know this is a little heady and maybe a little metaphysical to think about, but like there is life force in that food that then feeds you. So we have to be intentional with it. Like, we have to honor the meat that we're eating and have it be sustainably raised, because the energy that's in that food then becomes part of us. We are what we eat.
So let me ask you this, Chef, because again, I want people to continue bridging the gap, as you said. So I'm going to show you a book at the end here.
Yeah.
But what is a way that you feel, let's say right now someone's listening and they're going, that all sounds great, Henry and Chef. It's just not practical in my house. So what would you recommend? That two-part question. One, I'm a firm believer in sitting down with your family or your spouse. And if you're single and don't have a lot, find a way of something of community, because it's that quiet time, right? If there's any tips you have there, but also how can someone start without going full blown and they're just, whether they can't afford better foods or they're just on a tight budget, what is something, or is there somewhere that you recommend, or is that something in your works that we can help bridge that where they see why you're so passionate? Maybe they hear it right now, but they're like, I just can't do that.
Yeah. I have a saying. I like to say, you either invest in yourself now or pay for it later. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if you invest in yourself now, and I really urge people to take a look at what they do spend money on. Eating in a healthful way doesn't have to cost a lot of money. There are a lot of inexpensive ways to get fresh produce, to eat. If you're getting good meats and good, fish, wild caught seafood, then maybe you're not spending money on like a $6 coffee that day, I would say just really assess and look at where you're spending your money. I also recommend going in with a list. Okay, if you have a list, and I have a meal plan, it's a 10-day meal plan people can look at. It's at chefmareya.com, but it gives you exactly what to shop for. If you know what you're going in for and you buy those items and not buy like whatever looks good, and never shop hungry, by the way.
Yes, that's a good tip, Chef.
Never shop hungry.
That's a good.
And be intentional. I'm going to use that word again. Intentional about what you're going to buy and what you're going to prepare that week, knowing that you're getting enough protein. Okay, protein's the most important macronutrient.
Yeah.
Secondly, you're getting good fat.
Yeah.
And then you're getting good fruits and vegetables mixed in. You know, you prioritize those things, then you're going to be like, wow, I actually spent less because I'm not buying the big boxes of sugary cereal or the, impulse buy that I spent money on, or you're scrolling Instagram and buy something random that you don't need,
Right.
So we really have to like invest in ourselves and think of it as that, an investment in yourself, and not just your health, but your mental ability, your ability to go crush it,
I love that, Chef. And I know you, in a minute, we're going to do a couple plugs for you, and we'll put this obviously on ours. But one of the things, if you haven't done, and maybe you think, because again, as I'm listening to you, I love the bridge that you're already providing. But maybe another one that is a need out there is those practical steps.
Yeah.
Because I'm all about investing in yourself. If you do it right, you started this by saying proper planning. One of the things that being a chef has helped you, which led to good entrepreneurship, is planning ahead.
Yeah.
Right? A, B, and C, as you said.
Yeah.
Also making decisions on the fly. Sometimes you're like, oh, you're out of that. It just ran out. You got to finish a dish. So all that has been translated into business, translated into life. And I love to be witnessing some of these things myself through that.
Yeah.
So as that, okay, so now, because that's what resonated with me as you were saying, is like, really, I've never looked at, and I've been around chefs, I've been around a lot of stuff, but really the way I feel you said it, I love it. It's just like looking at food truly a little differently.
Yeah.
Right? Really looking at it for the objective of what it is, like you said, being intentional. So with that, tell me about this amazing book. I know those of you just in the podcast, you won't see it, but you'll see a clip of it. Obviously, again, beautiful work on the front. I'll show the camera here. And you're going to sign it. I'm very honored. Thank you. I'm going to just open it. Wow. Beautiful pictures and everything. So tell me about this book, because we went through your kind of a quick where you were at 35, your why. Now we're finishing the last why.
Yeah.
As we wrap up the show, is what is all this? How is it coming together for you? How excited are you to share with the world something that started on a very rocky path at 35 years old, that 20 years later, you are literally flourishing?
Yeah. When I got my food house in order is when everything changed.
Okay, one more time.
When I got my food house in order, everything changed.
Okay, we're gonna push that.
Yeah.
I love what you said. When you put your food house in order, everything changed.
Yes.
And so is this book, I love the title again, Eat Like You Give a Fork, which I love. And then, of course, your relaunch is The Real Dish, which is awesome. So tell us, continue, please.
Yeah. So this is not your typical cookbook, and I'm not a typical chef. So
No, my
if you
typical
haven't figured
coach.
that out already. So this is an 8-part reset to thinking how you approach food.
Okay.
And it starts with a taste bud reset. So I literally help you retrain your taste buds to crave the foods that do help to boost your health, which is umami, sour, and bitter. We get very stuck on sweet and salty as the two things that drive our palates.
So let's be practical with your buddy, Coach Henry.
Yeah.
Being cliche, I'm a salty.
Yeah.
So can you tell me, I'm gonna read your book.
Yeah.
Give me a little sneak peek, because all the salty people out there, what can you give us a sneak peek on?
So one thing that you're going to do, in order to add something in, you've got to take something out. So I ask you to go through your pantry and remove anything with added sugar. Okay, this is an 8-day reset. So anything with added sugar, we're going to remove anything with, that's very fatty. So anything with like a lot of saturated fat, you want to be careful of that. We're going to remove processed snacks. Okay. No pretzels.
Easy,
no
easy.
chips.
Watch your language, Chef. Watch your language.
Listen, we got it's gonna be painful in the beginning, but I promise you dividends at the end.
Ooh,
So you remove certain things and then you add certain things because your taste buds get imprinted by the time you're 5 years old. And for a lot of people, their taste buds are still 5-year-old taste buds. They still eat like, they were 5 years old and order from a menu like they're 5 years old. So we're going to just kind of break out of that because once you realize that you can crave differently, it changes your life. Instead of craving like the first thing, like I've got to have sugar, let me go grab a cookie or let me grab a brownie or let me go through the drive-through and get a greasy, order of fries and a burger. And I'm not saying that you can never have that again. I'm just saying like for this reset, I want you to focus on the things that will improve your health. Eating the rainbow. If there's one tip that I would give people, okay, here's you asked about the one tip.
Yeah.
The one tip is add some color to every meal. Just that. So add something green to your breakfast, add something red to your lunch, add something orange or purple or blue to your dinner. And that's going to come from nature.
Yeah.
So people who aren't used to like starting the day with spinach, like this morning on my meal prep, I have a very specific plan: egg whites, spinach, brown rice cereal, and an egg yolk. Delicious. Try it.
It is.
Just having that spinach in the beginning of the day then gets you craving more bitter foods, and bitter equates to better health.
And I love that. And I agree with you, Chef. I really do. And that's why I feel like as you have a podcast of your own, can you share that with everybody, what name they can look you up under?
Yeah, more to come on the newly relaunched The Real Dish, which is just now kind of relaunched again. It's the same great podcast, but just a slightly different format as what I had with Recipes for Your Best Life. And we really do get real. We dive in, we kind of strip away the bowl, and we talk about all things related to food, fitness, health, and living a fit life. And what I really seek to do is kind of, there's a lot of misinformation out there. And I want to give the facts, and I want to do it in a way that is seasoned well, so that it hits your palate nicely, and action steps that people can.
Well, that's
can
why
use.
I brought that up, Chef, because again, aside from the simmering time in life, the majority of life, often when it's simmered correctly, is to move on things, even if it's small. And I think the biggest thing as we wrap, is I want to make sure I get one more point across before we stop, is giving people practical steps, because usually we live in times where it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
There is, in most people's, the middle is bad, gray is bad. And I believe the opposite. I believe that there's a good gray. I believe in balance. I believe the middle is a lot of hardships, but if you learn to love the hardships, then you're gonna thrive in the victories, right? So that being said, I'm gonna lead them to that, because I think it'd be a really cool for you to share more of that, of how they can take practical steps, like you said, when it's baby steps, because not everyone's starting with the same passion that you have.
Yep.
But that's wisdom if they can start a path. So we'll lead them that way. And then on this product, where can they get this? And thank you, by the way. I can't wait to try it. Where can they get this product as
cleaner?
well?
Yeah. So right now, if you're not in Southern California and you're not near like an Albertsons or a Stater Brothers, you can get it on Amazon.
Okay.
And soon to be relaunched in new packaging now that I sold the company, and the new company is redesigning it. So it will be everywhere. But you can get it on Amazon for now. We're 5-star reviews, top customer pick on Amazon.
So good,
and
Chef.
we make the Eat Cleaner spray. It comes in a powder, comes in wipes, lots of different formats too. So works with your lifestyle.
I mean, again, just as we wrap up, and again, I love how time flies, but just one of the things I always like to finish the show with is taking a moment for you. Like, I feel that's my giving back to you is take a moment of like what you have accomplished. And the last why is a why of action. And we answered, it's everything you've been through, the initial why, the changes, the middle why, those moments when you got that award and you're like, this is something.
Yeah.
And now it's through us, like you said. It's every time you get on that podcast, there's one more person going, you know what? And I got on your Instagram and I saw some of the comments that were beautiful comments of that. So that has to fuel you. So if there's one little thing you want to say to a new audience that they're my guests that will get to know you as well, what would you like to share as a going away tip that they can leave today going, okay, I'm gonna apply that into my life? What would you like to say?
Well, it's funny because I say it all the time, but you said it to me, is know your why. Mm-hmm. You know, if you know your why, it will always be your true north, you know, because willpower will only take you so far.
Yeah.
But if you have your why, then that will guide your decisions on everything. And, you know, just know they're always watching. Kids are always watching. People are always watching. They're always like observing to see. And you can be a light just in how you greet people. Yeah. Just in how like you're standing in line and you see somebody with a cute outfit on, let them know. Yeah. You will brighten their day, you know, invite somebody to have a meal, like extend your own olive branch. And I think that, you know, we're meant to be together. We're meant to be better together. And the more we can reach out, even when it doesn't feel comfortable, you know, the more we can kind of, I think all tides, you know, what's the saying? All ships rise. Like, what is it? Tides make all ships rise or something like that. I probably just like, didn't say that right. But the whole point is we're all in this together. We are a human race together. Yeah. And when you show up in your healthiest, fittest shape, people are going to want to know, what are you doing?
Well, on that note, we are the best advertising for ourselves. And even I want to encourage people, even if you're not in the best shape, but you know you're wanting to make it, it's just one step at a time. And that's what I encourage people, because I deal with people more, not in the shape as much like I used to for years, which I still do, but primarily it's the mental and emotional where I've been really working with people. So
and that's really what I mean, Coach.
Yeah, no, I know you do. All shapes.
So everybody knows this is not about like, oh, I have to be in bikini shape. No, this is about soul shape, heart shape, all those things that come before the physical.
And that's why I'm grateful to have you on the show, because I believe that you are well-rounded and you're living it, and that's inspiring.
Thank you.
So thank you, and thank you all my guests and people that are watching Positive Traction with Coach Henry. Thank you, Chef.
Thank you.
Truly, I gained a lot from what you shared. I hope the people on here that have never been exposed to you, now you get some new people that really go, whoa, you know what? This lady, not too bad. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And everybody listening, we'll put all our details, obviously, like always, on our taglines. And until next time, thank you and have a blessed day.
Thank you so much.